It was a cold, gray morning in the Rockies outside Denver, Colorado, when Lucas Moreno, a 28-year-old avid hiker, set out for what he thought would be a simple solo climb. Lucas had been coming to these mountains for years, finding a strange comfort in the sharp wind against his face, the smell of pine in the air, and the quiet hum of nature that reminded him life moved slower here. But that morning, something was different. A storm had been brewing overnight, heavier and colder than the forecast suggested, and Lucas was unaware of how fast the conditions could turn deadly. Enter Ranger, a 5-year-old golden retriever mix, and a highly trained search and rescue dog. Ranger wasn't just any dog. He was a lifeline, a 4-legged partner to the Denver Mountain Rescue Unit, and Lucas didn't even know he was about to rely on him in a way that would change both their lives forever. Ranger had been with the team for 3 years, and his handler, Sergeant Maria Alvarez, trusted him implicitly. "He's more than just a dog," she often said. "He reads people, terrain, and danger better than most humans." Weeks before this climb, Lucas had met Ranger during a community safety demonstration at a local school. He had been impressed by the dog's discipline, the quiet way he obeyed commands, and the gentle way he interacted with children. At that moment, Lucas never imagined that Ranger would one day be the difference between life and death for him. The hike started peacefully. Lucas moved along familiar trails, enjoying the solitude, unaware that the snow from the previous night had already begun to melt and refreeze, creating treacherous patches of ice hidden under powdery snow. By mid-morning, the wind had picked up, whipping around jagged rocks and rattling loose branches. Lucas pressed on, misjudging the trail ahead. One wrong step, one hidden patch of ice, and suddenly, he was sliding uncontrollably down a steep, narrow cliffside. He tried to grab onto rocks, roots, anything that could stop him, but the slope was merciless. After sliding several feet, he slammed into a ledge, bruised, battered, and terrified. Hours passed. The storm intensified. Lucas realized he had no way to climb back up, no cell service, and no one knew his exact location. Panic set in, but he forced himself to stay calm, remembering the basic survival tactics he had learned. He found a small alcove under a rocky overhang to shield himself from the wind, curling up to preserve warmth. The sun started to fade, and with it, his hope. He had no idea rescue teams were already being notified. Hours into the search, visibility dropped to just a few feet. Most rescuers were slowing down, scanning the terrain cautiously, but Ranger surged ahead, guided by his finely tuned senses. He stopped abruptly, sniffing the wind, then barked sharply. Sergeant Alvarez sprinted to him and followed his lead, sliding carefully over icy rocks. And there he was, Lucas, barely conscious, shivering violently, clutching at the ledge that had saved him from tumbling further down the mountain. Ranger's bark pierced the storm like a lifeline. Lucas looked up and saw the golden blur, a face he didn't recognize but immediately trusted. Ranger didn't hesitate. He trotted carefully along the cliff, circling Lucas, nudging him gently, barking insistently. He stood close, a source of warmth and guidance. Lucas reached out and touched his fur, tears mixing with the snow on his face. I thought I was done," he whispered, voice cracking from fear and cold. Ranger pressed closer, as if saying, "Not on my watch." The real challenge was just beginning. The cliff was too steep for a normal rescue, and the storm made helicopters impossible. Sergeant Alvarez improvised, throwing ropes and calling in the team to create a secure anchor. Ranger stayed by Lucas's side the entire time, his body heat a tiny barrier against hypothermia. When the rescuers finally reached him, Lucas wrapped himself around Ranger instinctively, holding on as if the dog's presence could somehow shield him from the nightmare he had endured. But the mountain wasn't finished testing them. As Lucas was being lifted to safety, a sudden snow slide rattled down a nearby ridge. Ranger reacted instantly, barking sharply, warning the team, and even repositioning to ensure Lucas was clear from falling debris. The snow passed like a silent wall, and though the rescuers were shaken, no one was hurt. Ranger's instincts had saved more than one life that day. The story ended up inspiring many in Denver and beyond. Ranger received recognition from the city, a simple medal around his neck, but to Lucas, the recognition didn't matter. What mattered was the warmth of a living heartbeat beside him when he feared his own was failing. Ranger had not just saved a life, He had restored faith in the quiet, powerful connections that exist between humans and dogs, connections that endure even in the face of nature's harshest trials. And FO, whenever the wind whistled sharply through the Rockies, whenever snow dusted the cliffs, Lucas would glance at Ranger, and both of them would share that silent promise. No storm, no fear, could ever break the bond they had forged on that terrifying day. If you've ever been touched by the bravery of a rescue dog, or the unbreakable bond between a human and their canine partner, remember to hold those moments close. Because sometimes, a dog isn't just a companion. They're a lifeline, a hero, and a friend in the truest sense. And if this story moved you, hit that subscribe button to see more incredible real-life K9 rescues that remind us why these dogs are truly extraordinary.